Welcome back again. If you have just joined us, we welcome you as the radio, of course, on Pan African Morning, broadcasting live in the Republic of South Africa. Moving on with our stories, now going to Cameroon. The military personnel have been put on alert in Cameroon for 4 days, starting today, over fears that tomorrow's protest could cause severe public disorder. All members of the government have been quick to criticize the call for protest made by opposition leader Maurice Kamto, labeling his movements as an insurrection, forbidding all demonstrations, protesters with life imprisonment should they answer to Kamto's call tomorrow. Maurice Kamto, leader of the Cameroon Renaissance movement, has been calling for the peaceful protest, demanding that President Paul Biya step down and that the regional elections in the Anglophone region be reformed so to include their marginalized communities. Now, from 2017, security forces have been violently representing activists, demanding the independence of the Anglophone regions, instability that has forced half of the millions of people from their homes. Now it's time for us, of course, to give you the news headlines that we started with this morning. If in case you have missed some of the news, as we are still building up to that bombshelling dropping of, serious names in terms of people that are implicated in corruption right here on Galaxy Universal Network. We are going to do an expose, if you would allow me to say that. Moving on with our stories, of course, giving the news headline. Practitioners weighing options following the 10.5 billion pledge to rescue South African Airways. And Nehawu accuses Limpopo Premier of paying lip service to fraud and corruption. And Commission of Gender Equality takes on IAF on Semenyo's case. In our international stories, of course, we are looked into a story of the US that has ordered the ban on Chinese-owned video application, which is at the TikTok. Now, the government at the 11th hour have committed against to more than 10 billion rands in funding for South African Airways just hours before the creditors' meeting on Friday. But the airline's rescue practitioners are reviewing their options in case the money does not arrive. Now, the joint business rescue practitioners, Sifiwe Dongwana and Les Matheson, said on Friday that it must be clear that they were not waiting on the funding. This was why they had represented two suggestions of the wind down or liquidation at the creditors meeting. Now, the administrators took control of the SAA in December after almost a decade of financial losses and have been trying to keep it afloat as the coronavirus pandemic compounds its long-lasting problems. Administrators published a restructuring plan in June, but more than 10 billion rands required for it to work has not materialized since the airline's creditors approved it July. Now, in the funds flow early this year, it is early enough, but it eliminates the need to deal with the issues of liquidation. Administrator Sifiwe Dongwana told the creditor meeting called to discuss the funding issue on Friday that the airline has received further communication application from government with support of the National Treasury that indicates that there is a very clear cabinet commitment to provide funding to South African Airways to the tune of 10.5 billion rand. Dongwana added that this week the administrators would advise creditors and other affected parties about the outcome of further talks with the government and the time frame for South African Airways funding. Now, the Transport Minister, Fikile Mbalula, outlined the international travel restrictions as the country embarked on alert level 1 of the lockdown. The Minister Mbalula said that the international travelling regulations will totally be different from the domestic travelling. He said that there will be more emphasis on regulations and rule will remain in place. He said that as on board, there will be no sanitizing, of course, and social distancing. Of course, that is because, the sanitizers are quite very inflammable, and of course, the fact that the airplane needs to be on its full capacity, so which means that there won't be any social distancing once you get into the plane. Now let's have a look at what Mbalula had to say.
International travel will be totally different from domestic. We are going to put more emphasis on when you apply for your visa, that will include 72 hours. You know, like yellow fever. When you go to any of these countries, third world countries, they want yellow fever to be part of you. In this instance, it's going to be 72 hours, among others, things which will announce a list of all other things this coming week. 72 hours testing, and the test that prove that you are negative. And coming down, when you touch down, you bring that. And also, we will undertake some measures of testing. Rules are going to be rules, and they are strict. Even now, we are strict. I mean, you don't have a mask, you don't board. All what we don't do on board, which is what people must understand, we're not doing social distancing on board the airline. Secondly, we don't do sanitizer. That's why at the airport, there is sanitizer every corner. But you sanitize before you board. That airlines are capacitated with what is called high efficiency particulate, which is called HEPA on board, and that mitigates. And the HEPA, what it does is that as you are on board, it does mitigate in the sense that whatever virus that is airborne inside the aircraft, it is able to actually deal with that. So when I explain it, I say that it eats the virus, and which is what it does. We know that scientists are saying to us that COVID-19 is now airborne. It can stay on air for about 5 seconds. HEPA is able to deal with that. It's one of the mitigation we have actually introduced. It's not something that you can see, unfortunately. So all of those measures are actually introduced for airlines. Over and above that, airlines are actually, they do what is called cleaning on board and disinfection effectively. Before you embark and when you disembark, the airline is actually being disinfected, which is something that was not happening in the past, but this is happening now.
The Police Minister, Peggy Cele, on Saturday joined the Operation Okai Mulawu's final raid on lockdown level 2 in Ekurhuleni. During the raid, the authorities discovered over 30 illegal firearms and arrested over 20 people for drinking and driving. Minister Cele said that part of Ekurhuleni Metro still remained troublesome. Now, the minister also revealed that one of the drivers was caught carrying a gun and had a license, though, for that gun. But he was drunk. Now that he said that the fact that the driver was drunk, it made the firearm to be illegal and he had to be sent to jail.
Everybody that must stay at home as you stop and search, but there are standard roadblocks, as I've said, that in the whole province of Gauteng, we're in different districts. But here in Ekurhuleni we have 4. The scale is quite big. We have arrested quite many people, as I've said, that are more than 20 drinking and driving. have been arrested. But all the people that are not complying, like carrying the documents that they're supposed to carry, your license, but also making sure that they don't carry illegal firearms. One guy had legal firearm but drunk. That makes your gun illegal. So we need to take you in. So those are the things.
The ANC Study Group on Defence received a briefing by the Minister of Defence and Military Veteran Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqagula on Friday evening on the 18th of September 2020. The briefing by the Minister focused on recent working visit to Zimbabwe undertaken by Minister Mapisa-Nqagula to meet with her Zimbabwean counterparts to strengthen bilateral and military links between the two countries, who are both members of the SADC organ of politics, defense and, of course, security. The minister briefed the ANC on the management of COVID-19. The Department of Defense have released the first series of the reports by the Auditor General in response to President Cyril Ramaphosa's request for a real-time audit on management of expenditure on the COVID-19 relief package. The minister had also indicated that the working visit to Zimbabwe is now a subject of investigation by public protector, and her office in cooperation with, or rather her office is cooperating with the investigation. It is on the basis that the SG resolved the chairperson of the PC of the Defence should convene a PC meeting so that the minister can brief the PC, taking into consideration the fact that the matter is still being investigated by the public protector. The minister further said that they support the decision taken by the component of the ANC to pay the cost of their travel to Zimbabwe to conduct an important work in support of the human rights. And of course, they added that they are dismissing the call made by the Democratic Alliance that extra costs should be made into the ANC as if the jet was not on its way to Zimbabwe. She said that the trip was already scheduled, whether the ANC delegation was on board or not. The jet was on its way anyway for ministers' bilateral meeting. Now, the Workers' Union, NEHAWU, has accused Limpopo Premier Stan Mathabata of paying lip service to fraud and corruption. This follows the transfer of his spokesperson, Kenny Mativa, to the Social Developmental Department after he was found guilty of submitting fraudulent travel claims during the disciplinary hearing last year. NEHAWU spokesperson Norman Mahunga says that the Premier should step down as he is failing to deal with corruption in his office and the provincial government. According to Mahunga, the removal of Mativa FK to social development is nothing but a foil to hide a fraudster and a person who has brought the name of the office of the Premier and the provincial government into complete disrepute. Mahunga says that the Premier does not walk the talk but laments at fraud and corruption. Now, as we are still talking of course, fraud and corruption, of course, on our Green Couch, we are now joined by our journalist, SIFISO MAHLANGU. But before we can get into that conversation with SIFISO MAHLANGU, we are going to take a very short break as we connect, and we are going to be speaking to him. As we said, bombs are continuing to drop right here on Galaxy Universal Network.
fourth industrial technology era has forcefully changed how every profession has been working for its clients. The world has become smaller than what we used to think. Imagine the ease of talking to a person who is in Australia, China, or Germany while you are in South Africa, as if you're just next door. The ease that globalization and the fourth industrial technology have brought to humanity entail doing business anywhere in the world as long as you have the purpose and the means. It is our expertise as MB Chabangu Incorporated to advise clients immigrating to South Africa on various permits and on opportunities for travelers who intend to sojourn in South Africa for a longer period of time.
Ayé náà ti kéré ju èyí tí a rò lọ. Nítorí náà ìmọ̀ wa ní ìsìlọ̀ àti òfin àgbáyé ṣe wá ní ọ́fíìsì àkókò lórí àwọn ìṣòwò ilé àti ìgbaniláyé láti gba ìwé ìrìnnà fún iṣẹ́ okòwò.
Ho MB Chabangu Incorporated re ba eletsi dinotari le basebedisi le di-office tsa rena kua Pretoria, Johannesburg le Bloemfontein. MB Chabangu Incorporated e humanega ga bonolo go bareki ba rena. Go humana tlhagiso leseding ka botlalo re kgopela le re leletše mogala go 012 341 4187 goba le re ngwalele lengwalo tsebile go admin@chabangu.co.za. MB Chabangu Incorporated mo mathata a humanago tharollo.
Welcome back again. If you have just joined us, we welcome you. We're still right here on Pan-African Morning. Of course, we are joined by the editor of the Star newspaper, as I'm going through right now, SIFISO MAHLANGU, going through right now with what the Star is literally just dropping bombs. SIFISO, you are hardly a month in this sit, and you do every morning, you are taking ammunition. Today you are on Delil. First and foremost, let me just say good morning and welcome to Galaxy.
Good morning to you, and thank you for having me on Pan-African Morning. Sorry I'm delayed. I had another radio interview on the same story, but good to be here.
No, certainly. So we've got issues there that Patricia de Lille is in hot water. We all know de Lille as a whistleblower, a woman who is quite very much forward in terms of fighting against corruption. Right now, pressure is mounting on President Cyril Ramaphosa to take her down. Now, let us maybe give our viewers at home on the background on what is it that is happening with Patricia de Lille right now.
Well, certainly Patricia de Lille is known as the whistleblower since the 1997 arms deal.
Yes.
Former President Thabo Mbeki says there was no arms deal, but Patricia de Lille was the complainant,
yes.
The so-called whistleblower at the time.
Yes.
Now she has a whistleblower against her. Now, Patricia's got a long run in the political game, coming from the PAC.
Yes.
She later started her own party called the Independent Democrats. From the Independent Democrats, she went into the DA, becoming the mayor of Cape Town. She had a great fallout with Helen Zille, and she was ousted from the DA and then started the party.
A good party.
President Cyril Ramaphosa gave her the appointment for Minister of Public Works.
Yes.
And it seems that's where the trouble started.
Yes.
Now, two DGs in the department, DG Govender has written to the public protector, laid a formal complaint against his boss, Ms. de Lille, to say, number one, de Lille brought a company to the department and said, this is the company we're going to use. When Governor...
This is with regards to the fencing.
With regard to the fence. So,
yes.
And the claim is that when the DG refused, de Lille began to victimize the Director General to say, you know, this is what I told you to do, and you did not do it. The second is that after the company was brought, there was a table of things that did not go right in the department. So far as media monitoring, there were certain companies that Ms. de Lille wanted, allegedly. There was a what was called the Spearhaven technique that was used in the department to identify buildings that government did not use. The latter documents suggest that there were already companies that were put in line to adopt those buildings that belong to government. So these are high-level allegations, I think very gross allegations against Ms. de Lille. She did respond, of course, in her story to say she finds it amazing that when she reprimands a DG, then allegations are leveled against her. But then it also goes to say now President Cyril Ramaphosa must take action because the public protector is investigating. I think, you know, the social platforms in South Africa will decide what to think. Should Ms. de Lille still be in this position as she's being investigated? This is not just a whistleblower from outside saying, I've got information. These are individuals who directly reported to Ms. de Lille, who have put those contents in a sworn affidavit to the public protector, saying this is what she wanted us to do. And an advocate who was the DG, and I've seen that that affidavit has put some compelling details to what he was asked to do, where he declined. There is some emails between the minister and the DG, and it doesn't really look well for Ms. de Lille.
Yes, this is not obviously the first allegations that are leveled against Ms. de Lille. Can you take us through to the other two?
Well, there's the issue of the border fence, the issue of media monitoring. There's the issue of the Spear Heaven campaign, the issue of the buildings that are government property being managed by Public Works, and all of these are entangled in these are entangled in these affidavits that these two individuals have now complained to the public protector. It's the DA has also written to back up these individuals to say Ms. de Lille is not a good you know, play on words, is not a good member of parliament, or is not a good minister. And so while those investigations continue, some are calling for her to step down while she's been investigated. Of course, she denies any wrongdoing, but there's an interest here in our society. President Cyril Ramaphosa has got a new rule called, you know, the step aside. If there are serious allegations of corruption leveled against you, you're expected to step aside. Or number two, if you are criminally charged, we've seen with Lungisa, you know, Bongo was to resign, then he didn't. Bongo, former Minister of Intelligence, and that sort of thing. Ms. Thandi Mudi says in court, over cruelty to animals, she was been called on to step down. So there are all these voices coming from the NEC of the ANC. But Ms. de Lille is not an ANC member, but of course it does speak to her integrity, and it does speak to her character as a minister, because she is officially being investigated for corruption. So, you know, I mean, South Africans will decide. But I think in my view, having seen some of the statements and the response from the minister, I think, you know, she owes South Africa an explanation to say, you know, if she's going to step down or what really happened. I don't think for me, it's enough to simply say people are bitter. When people raise serious concerns and allegations against you, they table it in an affidavit, they present what they deem as facts to a Chapter 9 institution. You need to make a tangible legal report, as opposed to just saying, you know, as opposed to just saying people are bitter. I don't think that's good enough.
Did she even mention that what was she reprimanding the DG for, other than what, you know, has been brought forward?
Yeah, the DG claims that, DG Governor claims that Ms. de Lille phoned him, you know, in a very bad temper, and was aggressive on the phone to say, I instructed you to use this particular company, or to facilitate that we use this company, and you did not do that. Of course, that would have been illegal. The DG claims it was at that point that their relationship broke down, when he refused to make that illegal appointment, or to facilitate that illegal appointment. The facilitation of a project in the first place, or the facilitation of a company to serve the department, would have in itself been illegal, because that lies with the procurement process. That department lies outside of the DG. That department particularly lies outside of the minister. We do know that because of power and machinations, of course the DG could have the power to do that. We've seen that. Of course the minister does have power, but it doesn't make it right. I don't find her response to be to be strong enough in this. We'll wait for the findings and the report from the Chapter 9 investigation, the Chapter 9 report that are investigating it. But I think it speaks to a greater, concern in our society. There's a great rot that is happening.
Of course.
So every week, some of us try and clean the country.
No, for sure. Have you tried to reach out to the president to say, Mr. President, these are the allegations that we are finding, and we're constantly trying to assist you? Because what you are doing as journalists, you are doing it on behalf. You are making the work of the NPA to be very easy. So you are doing the investigation on their behalf and bringing the facts on the table. What is the presidency doing with those?
The presidency has got a top 6 meeting that sits 9 o'clock every Monday.
Yes.
So we hope they'll see the cover of the Star. It's everywhere, and then they'll apply their minds to that. The presidency, of course, is made aware in his briefings of these reports.
Yes.
I have no doubt that this is going to be part of the NWC meeting that will sit this afternoon. So the NEC is at 10, the NWC meeting is at 2 p.m. this afternoon, although it is virtual.
Yes.
These deliberations will, of course, make this the agenda of today's meeting.
Yes.
I do hope that the president will give a response. However, I'll accept when he doesn't, because there are issues concerning the president. There's investigations on himself and on his character. You do remember there were adverse findings against another minister, Mr. Pravin Gordhan. The president then responded and says he does not have the power to discipline Mr. Pravin Gordhan. Are we going to see a similar situation here where he'll say he doesn't have the power to discipline Ms. Delil? It's going to be odd, because we do know that from the Constitution, it is the president who appoints ministers.
Yes.
It is his cabinet.
Yes.
I also hope that it's not going to be the ANC that investigates.
Yes.
It's not an ANC study group like the PPE tenders that the president said Lamula and Nosiviwe Mapisa must investigate. There are institutions in this country such as the NPA, the SIU, the Public Protector's Office to make investigations.
On those
the ANC
issues,
cannot investigate the ANC to report to the ANC.
Thank you so much, SIFISO. You've always been great, and I'm looking forward to have you again on the Green Couch, because I know you'll be dropping further bombs, and we hope that there will be action that will be taken against all these allegations, because they are hurting our state quite very much. Corruption is indeed a terrible thing to happen. Now that we have reached to the end of our show, and we hope that you had a beautiful one with us since 6 o'clock in the morning. Please do join us again tomorrow, same time, same place, right here on Pan-African Morning. From myself and the rest of our Pan-African Morning team, and of course, would like to thank our guest for today, who's here dropping bombs. It is hot everywhere right now, and we are going to continue with our Galaxy Universal Network programmings as we continue to watch on Channel 500 on Starsat. Igama lami ke ngingusisanda nomusa kwaQWABE QOUTAUD. Intombazane yaphansi kwamhlabi yalingana umfule ngophuza ngiphuzukela gele inkomo zakithi ngashiya zidla phansi emahlathini asekubandeni. Kanti ke zona ziphuze ebhodlweni umfulo ohamba ngeslow motion kwesikwazibi isigodi kulangibuya khona ke ngathwala amabombo ngabhekisa egoli kwandonga ziyaduma kwanye makayipheli kuphela amazinyo endoda. And this is where we are broadcasting in South Africa. Stay with us until next time, Africa. It's a goodbye from me.